Hi guys, this video is what I hope will become a small mini-series called Electrifying Yorkshire, which is, the whole goal of this is to try and get some electric charge points installed in my local area and Yorkshire in general, because as a whole it's pretty much a black hole when it comes to charge points. And just to highlight the fact, this is two major cities in Yorkshire, Leeds and Bradford, both kind of next to one another. There is one rapid charger in Bradford, which is publicly accessible. That is at a hotel, so it's not easy to get to either. And the other one in Leeds is at a Nissan dealership, so that's not publicly available out of hours or to anyone that doesn't own a Nissan. So basically, across Leeds and Bradford cities, there is one rapid charge point and only a few fast charge points, which are at typically at supermarkets anyway. So basically, it's just nothing. When you look at Manchester, which has got a lot of charge points dotted around several car parks, it's a totally different world. York is a bit of an exception in this. They are very good at doing this. They have got lots of charge points dotted around various car parks, parks and rides, that sort of thing. I think they've even got a couple of electric buses as well. So it is possible in Yorkshire, even though we've only had electricity for a few years now, it is possible. Now, just to head off any of the, well, it's a rural county sort of thing, the Lake District have several rapid charge points dotted around the major towns, so you can get anywhere around the Lake District and back again and use a rapid charger. The Scottish Highlands, as I proved in my North Coast 500 video, has many rapid charge points dotted around the major routes. So it's not, there's no excuse basically is what I'm saying. Another thing that's probably worth mentioning, and although I can't really prove this without a lot of digging, so I won't say which one it is, but a certain city council was given a substantial fund by the government, as other councils were done as well. Manchester, for example, used theirs to put lots of charge points in. This council, however, sat on this money, I think over 2 million, and they sat on that money for a couple of years, didn't touch it, and it got sent back to the government. So the money was there, wasn't used, sent back. Why? So anyway, I've used this YouTube channel a couple of times in the past, even though it's tiny in comparison to everything else out there, to kind of prove a point to a manufacturer of sorts. Once with a certain charge point and another with Nissan themselves. Both times I got the response I wanted. So I thought I'd try the same sort of thing with charge points, or lack thereof in the area. Now the first thing that I thought I'd start, because it's kind of a council thing, but there's a local surgery, as it's called, with my local MP, thankfully just down the road from me. So I booked in a slot and went and talked to Julian Smith MP, which is the Skipton and Ripon constituency, and talked to him for 5 or 10 minutes about this lack of charge points. Now basically you only get 5 or 10 minutes, so I have to spend half of that kind of explaining about electric cars and charging in general. I showed him several maps of various areas that have charge points, and then maps of this area. For example, the Skipton and Ripon constituency, which is reasonably large I believe, has literally no charge points at all in the entire constituency. No fast charge points, no rapid charge points. There isn't any. Now, no, strictly speaking, it's not an MP's responsibility, it's more of a council thing, but I was hoping that this would kind of lead on to something else. He knows and has access to people I don't. Now, my original plan was to concentrate on the private sector. For quite a few years now, people on various forums have been trying with North Yorkshire County Council specifically, as well as a few local ones, and they've just got blocked at every stage. It just doesn't happen, they're not interested. So on the assumption the council's not going to be a great success, although we'll go down that route, I don't think we're going to do much. Asda's, Lidl's, Sainsbury's to an extent, have all started a rollout, and Tesco's I think in a few stores. So it looks like they're eventually going to get them. So my hope was that he could contact them and maybe get them to accelerate their rollout in this local area, or bump us to the head of the queue, so to speak. Because a letter from me would just get binned, a letter from him at least will get a response. He also had the idea of contacting the Yorkshire Dales National Park, which I never thought about really. The Lake District, they've put rapid charge points in as a national park, so it does make sense that they did. So anyway, he went away, had a look at my leaf as well before we went. He went away and contacted these various companies. Now I've got a reply or rather he's got a reply from Tesco's and the North Yorkshire County Council, so he did contact them, which is good, as well as the Yorkshire Dales National Park. is my official MP letter. Very exciting. Now we'll start off with the County Council. It's quite a long one. Basically, thank you for your letter, blah blah blah. I'll try and skip the pleasantries. As you're aware, North Yorkshire is a two-tier local authority. The County Council are the highway authority for the whole of North Yorkshire, and as such has responsibility for on-street car parking, with the responsibilities for off-road car parks generally aligned with the local district council or National Park Authority. North Yorkshire County Council is not the local planning authority or the authority with responsibility for off-street car parks. These are local district councils or national park authorities, and it would therefore be under their control to provide charging facilities at these locations. NYCC do, however, support the need for electrical car charging infrastructure and have offered a grant for electric charging infrastructure at Harrogate Bus Station, and have also included the provision of electric charging points at Ripon Bus Station as a condition of recent planning application. So if you live in or around Harrogate, it might be worth contacting them or keeping an eye on that. A lot of people, especially in Yorkshire, and a lot of people have contacted me as well saying, I don't have a drive, I don't have off-street parking, so it means I can't get an electric car. Well, you can. There is a grant on-street residential charge point scheme that the government run, OLEV do. The on-street residential charge point scheme provides grant funding for local authorities towards the cost of installing on-street residential charge point for plug-in electric vehicles. The cost is, I think 75% of that cost by the grant is covered by OLEV. So it's of course more expensive, but there are schemes out there and councils should support them. Just to finish this off then, the County Council has previously considered the provision of on-street electric car charging points in North Yorkshire. However, it was considered at the time that the demand for on-street parking charging is insufficient to justify the costs of providing them. Given our current position, we must unfortunately prioritise competing demands on our limited budgets, and of course we all know how limited the budgets are at the moment. With regards to installing charging points on our premises, at the present time we have no plans to do so. If you want an on-street charging point, you need to contact North Yorkshire County Council, who aren't interested. But they may be soon, I don't know. But let's move on to Tesco's. Dear Mr Smith, that's the MP of course, thank you for your letter regarding the electric vehicle charging points on the Tesco estate. Blah blah blah, very pleased to see the public appetite for more EV charging points, as we share that same ambition. We have thus far installed nearly 20 EV charging points across our estate. They must have hundreds of stores. Locations at our stores within North Yorkshire will be examined as part of this review. I also wanted to share our recently announced commitment to sourcing 100% of our electricity requirements from renewable sources by 2030. So basically, Tesco's saying they're not going to do anything different to what they were normally thinking of doing. So that's a bit of a bummer. Now on to the Yorkshire Dales National Park. This, I think, is the most positive of the lot. Can I begin by reassuring you that the National Park Authority is supportive of the installation of EV charge points in the National Park. To that end, we have looked at the possibility of installing charging points on our own car parks at Hawes, Aysgarth Falls, Malham and Grassington. However, the capital outlay required to install such facilities means that we have to do this through a partnership approach to help towards the substantial costs involved. More recently, the national body, the National Parks Partnership, on behalf of us and a number of other parks, is looking to negotiate a commercial sponsorship deal with one of the companies involved in this field. As part of this proposal, the 4 sites we have identified were surveyed in December 2016. We are now awaiting the outcome of these negotiations and whether any of the companies are interested in our sites. Now, that's all we've got, so maybe positive there for the National Park. December 2016 was when they were surveyed. It's now nearly July, so you would hope they would know something about that. So I think that needs a bit of a chasing up. This letter was sent in May. We know the supermarket isn't going to change their minds, and the county council obviously are interested. However, the national park was quite positive. The hay fever's doing my head in. So there we are. A step forward maybe. I think the next step would be for somebody out there who needs maybe on-street parking to actually put some feelers out there. Even if you don't actually need it contact the council, the North Yorkshire County Council, and say, look, I'm interested in this, is it something you can do? Because they're saying that there's a grant out there for on-street residential charge point scheme, but then they also say that they weren't interested in it previously. So they're not saying if they're interested in it now, they're just saying they weren't before. So, if somebody could do that, that'd be great. Let's kind of work together on this one. I would like to invite the MP, now he's been re-elected certainly, and we should have a few years at least, to maybe come back and actually get him in the Leaf. We'll drive around, show him what the car is, because he's obviously unfamiliar with them, and have a further chat, hopefully on camera if possible, with him to see what else he and the government in general are doing. I know there is a current transport bill going on, which is putting a few provisions in there. The latest Queen's speech also mentioned electric car charging provisions. So things are happening, things are moving. I think I also need to maybe contact some local councillors and see what they see happening in the future. Skipton, which is kind of like the biggest town near me, it seems a really obvious place to put a charging solution. It's a market town, it's got a castle, it's very nice, it's reasonably affluent, I would say. They've even built a new shopping centre next to a car park, but didn't put any charge points in. It had been so easy and cheap to do it. So this gateway to the Dale seems an obvious place to do this, and nothing's happened. So let's keep going. Anyway, let's make a nuisance of ourselves, and please let me know in the comments if you've contacted your council. It doesn't have to be in Yorkshire, and had any success or the opposite. If you do have an on-street charge point, I'd be really interested in hearing about that, and even maybe coming to have a look at it. So yeah, please get in touch, and let's see what we can do. Let's kind of cobble together. Let's make a nuisance of ourselves and see if we can make something happen. They're going to get way more popular very soon, electric cars. So rather than wait until the cars turn up and then go, ooh, we need points, let's try and get ahead of the game, as other towns and cities have done. So yes, we're not after free charging. Don't mind paying for it, and I prefer to pay for it. You tend to get a better service. But let's at least get some in place. Right, okay, I'll update this when I've got something to tell you about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.